Hello and welcome to episode 43 of The Weighing Room, sponsored by 888 Sport, where it is only the two of us today, but as ever, we're back previewing 9 superb races on ITV on Saturday. As I said this week, Paul can't make it, but I'm joined by my usual partner, Frankie Foster. How are we, mate? We had a good week?
Yeah, all good. I've been to 2 new race courses this week. I was up at Wolves on Wednesday, a disappointing runner, and then the Racing League, hence the hat to hide my bed hair this morning, last night at Windsor. So yeah, good week, and I'm going to the Sprint Cup tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, lovely stuff, lovely stuff. As you said, the Sprint Cup is the feature of the weekend, but there is also obviously racing from Haydock. There's also racing from Ascot and Kempton that we're going to be previewing ahead of this weekend. But before we get going, I just want to bring your attention to 888 Sports' superb offer at the moment. It's bet 10 and get £45 in free bets using promo code HR45 when signing up. Terms and conditions do apply to this, so make sure you check them out before getting stuck into the offer. But it really is a nice offer to get stuck into ahead of the weekend's action. Right then, Frankie, just 2 of us this week. Let's kick on. And the first event we're going to cover is the 1:15 listed Ascendant Stakes over the mile. He's a hot favourite in here, 2 to 5, naval power. I think it's very hard to oppose him. What about you?
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. It's a fairly easy one to get us started, isn't it, with a 2 to 5 fave? But you're just looking through, and Line of War and Dark 30 of the others that have been stepped up to group level or never power on their listed race. But they're the 2 that have kind of been pushed on before their initial races, and both have come dead last. The others in there, I mean, all in here should improve somewhat, but you can't see any surpassing naval power. I think 2 to 5, given what you've seen of the rest of the field, is kind of fair, really. I can't see naval power losing this.
Yeah, I think 2 to 5, even though it's short, I think it's a fair price for this horse. I think it's one to play in multiples throughout the day. I think this will kickstart for favourite backers at Haydock. I just don't see how this horse gets beat. I personally think this could be up there as Godolphin and Charlie Appleby's best horse, best 2-year-old this season going forward. I know he's only ran in a listed race and others have done better, but I just think this guy Colt's really, really special. I'll be surprised if he doesn't go and win by 7-8 lengths like he did last time over Ascot. So I think it's very simple for us in the first one. 2 to 5 favourite, go straight in. And I think just want to play multiples, even though it's easy to say with the favourite. I just think he's definitely one for multiples. So we'll move swiftly on. And the next one at Haydock is the Group 3 Superior Mile Stakes. Again, over a mile. Frankie, who do you fancy in this one?
Finding it hard to get away from the favourite. I kind of did my best to take him on, and if I'm looking down, Bayside Boy, 7th in the St James Park State, probably has the best form on offer behind some top class horses. Dark Shift has been running well in some handicaps, but I think made use of a low mark and might be a bit exposed back in this company. Triple Time, who I think you might talk about, who knows? It's another one of those, isn't it? Back after a big break, and has some good form in what we have seen a year ago, but kind of could be anything. If I was trying to find an each way player, I think Takara Bay down at, I'm looking at 14s now, would be where I'd go for some each way value. But I really do think Reach for the Moon is probably the most likely winner, although a bit short to bet. I hate saying that, but we are pushed for a selection, so we have to settle on something. I don't know if I'd play this near even money with my own money, but I do think Reach for the Moon back at this trip is the most likely winner, and it is going to be my selection. You can kind of, I know beating odds on, and that was a shock at Ascot, but I think back to this 1 mile trip should hopefully go in.
Yeah, I found this race quite tough because obviously you look at the start of the market, Reach for the Moon, and I've actually got a big problem with this horse because this horse should have been winning way more races and just
lost your money.
Yeah, lost your money, and finishing second 3 times on the bounce now, 11 to 10 again. I'm not being sucked in, and I'm going to take Reach for the Moon on. It's one of them, isn't it? When you back a horse and you get on the wrong side of a horse, you don't ever really want to play it again. It might be for selfish reasons for yourself, but I'm happy to take on Reach for the Moon in this. Look, I might be proved wrong, but the current odds around 6-7 to 1 generally. I thought Triple Time for Kevin Ryan was really, really interesting. This horse only ran 4 times, and it's making his seasonal debut again this season on the same card that he won last season. It's like when I was talking about Danae last week. I know it didn't pan out for the Siren Christmas horse, but it's just interesting to bring it back around a similar time. You don't know if there's been some problems, but I just thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, this 3-year-old, his son of Frankel, he started Leicester over 6 furlongs in June last year and was behind Dabab, who's I think cost out nearly 3 million, and then Sweeping, who hasn't turned out to be a bad horse. Moved up to 7 furlong. He ran at Haydock. Was a good second behind Mr. McCann, who we know Mr. McCann's done well this season, winning a nice race. In that form of that race worked out quite well, actually, if you look. Because he was second to Mr. McCann. You've got Nuance, who went on to win after that. Le Poulgre went on to win after that. And obviously Modern Games, who got Alpha New, went on to win after that as well. So the form's quite strong from that. Triple Time, then Obliged next time out. Back at Haydock, up to the mile. Absolutely bolted up by close to 10 lengths. That was on soft ground that day. He might enjoy soft ground, but he showed the time after that when he saw last time out on this card. Landed the listed Ascendant Stakes. He beat Harfit that day, another expensive Charlie Appleby horse. And that Harfit's gone on to run over 1 mile 6 in the Queen's Vase. I think finished third behind Zechariah and Eldar Eldarov. So the form's not too bad. Obviously, we haven't seen Triple Time. We don't know how he's developed. We don't know if he's trained on as a 3-year-old. But I just thought the 7-1, I was happy to play and find out at each way price, because I think this horse could be quite smart. Look, he might need the first run, but yeah, I'm happy to play this call around 7-1. So Triple Time for me in the second at Haydock. So another Group 3 event follows, and this time we're going to go over to Kempton for their first on ITV, and it's the Group 3 September Stakes over 1 mile 4. It's quite a tricky field, and I think, Frankie, it's probably out the top 2 in the market, isn't it? But who are you going with?
Well, I'm not. I don't know whether this is a bit of bias, but you start putting favourite, and I'm thinking, geez, I need to try and get a favourite beat in one of these races. I've got to say that I think the Dubai Honour is strong, and I kind of looked for an each way play in this outside of another favourite just to mix it up a bit. But I do think the favourite is strong in this. And 6-4 probably is fair off of what we've seen. I'm looking at Gear Up. I seem to be flying the Joseph O'Brien flag quite a bit at the moment. And normally I'm kind of going with his horses when they come over here. But I just think this horse is back to a decent trip. Won at Gorham Park, then was stepped up to 1/6 when just getting caught kind of late on and didn't really finish that race. And then recently won a Group 3 at Leopardstown. I'm just tracking 1/4. This horse's best RPRs come over 1/3 last season. I think that kind of 1 mile 3, 1 mile 4, 1.5 mile trip around about that suits this horse best, and should have a chance. Obvious questions coming over here and going on the surface at Kempton. It's all a little bit unknown, but Joseph O'Brien wouldn't be doing it if he didn't think the horse had a chance. So off the evidence that around this trip, I think it's got to go close at an each way price, and at least we'll be in the fight at the end, I'd hope.
Yeah, I think Gear Up's a solid each way play in this race. To be honest, we normally post our shouts, don't we, across just before, so we have a bit of like we know what we're going. And I was having a think, because we haven't sent them over before today, and I was having a look at this race and I was thinking, he's been liking Joseph O'Brien recently.
That's what he's looking at.
But like you said, he wouldn't bring a horse over to England to race on the all-weather at Kempton if there wasn't a reason for it. And
it's 50-gram race, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. I think Gear Up, he's got a big chance 15-2, but he's giving £3 away to Dubai Honour, and that is my big thing for me. I personally haven't got the biggest opinion in this race. I've got bigger opinions throughout the podcast, but this is probably one I haven't. But when I was looking at it, I thought it was a straight match race between Moshadaf and Dubai Honour. Even though I think Gear Up can run a big race, I do think that the top 2 in the market, even though easy to say, will fight it out. And it was just that Dubai Honour was getting that £3. And looking back at that Juddmonte International last time out behind Baid, I don't think Moshadaf would have got as close as Dubai Honour did. And I'm basing it off that, basically. I just think that £3 will make the difference in this. But look, I haven't got the biggest opinion in the world in this race, but I do think Dubai Honour, even though favourite 6-4, is solid for me in this one. So back at Haydock for their first handicap event of the afternoon, and it sees the Class 2 event over 1 mile 6 furlong. Looks a tricky one, Frankie, this one.
Yeah, it does. One that hopefully a bit of value can be fine, top price around 5s or near enough. I was looking at Irish Lullaby. on a hat trick. Well, at Killarney over 1 mile 3, went up £7 at one a Galway over the mile. It has to come up again from that run. Not a huge amount, but I just wonder if a little bit more ability can be unlocked with another step up in trip. Sorry, I read that the wrong way around. Went from a mile at Galway and then went up to 1.3 and now goes up to 1.6. So with each kind of rise in the handicap market and winning both of those handicaps as well, has been going up in trip, and another step up has to go up again in the weights. Frankie's booked. I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think 90 is the ceiling for this horse. It looks to be a better horse that would be caught out by the handicapper at 90. So 10s, I think, is a great each way play. I've got to also give a shout right down the bottom to Post Impressionist, 16-1. I put this horse up last week. I don't know what it is, and I wouldn't be backing myself, but sometimes you just watch a horse race and for whatever reason, you think there is some ability in the horse that it is just not showing. Post Impressionist is one of those for me. Every time this horse has ran, looked at the form beforehand, I thought this must have a decent chance, and it's just been disappointing. For that reason, it's not a selection. You've got to call it quits at some point. But if I didn't flag it up and it went and win, I'd be annoyed. So maybe off a mark of 86, Post Impressionist might get his act together and do something of use this time round. But my selection in this is going to be Irish Lullaby.
I tell you what, you need to change that Racing League cap to the Irish one, don't you? It's two on the trot now. No, Irish Lullaby definitely got a big chance. And you know what? I thought you'd mention Post Impressionist because I was against Post Impressionist last week, and I did tip the winner in that race, Katsuni Power. But I've judged this race myself, and Post Impressionist is one of them, the 16-1. And I'm on sides like this. It's not big. It'll be a small play each way at the 16s, and I think if you have a shop around, there'll be extra places wherever you look. But I've been waiting for this horse, you know, when he's running over 10 furlongs. I just think, he's got ability. It's definitely got potential in there. But if you look at its pedigree, he's got relations to hurdlers that want to go over 2 mile. This has been stepped up to 1 mile 6 for the first time. I've been waiting for it to go up in trip. If you look at the race last week at Beverley, it was worth £15,000 to the winner. This week, what's this worth? 50,000, I think, or slightly less.
50,000, yeah.
Don't you think he looks a bit of a plot? I know Haggis doesn't normally run them so quickly, but surely this has been the main objective and not that race at Beverley last week.
Yeah.
To step up and trip first time, very unexposed at the trip. I think he'll get a lot much closer to the pace, be more strongly run race, definitely. I just thought he was really interested at 16-1. Now he's up in trip, and like you said, we've had a lot of horses on this pod. We've jumped off, we've stayed with, and I'm on this one, and I think he's got a big chance around the 16-1 mark. Another one, a bit of a tentative selection, but another one I do like around the 17-2, 8-1 mark is Inverness for Charlie Hills. There is question marks whether he stayed the 1 mile 6 last time at York, but because he's unexposed at the trip, and I'm a massive fan of Solcombe. I don't want to say anything too early because Solcombe is running later, but I'm a massive fan of Solcombe. I love that form. And I know you've got Adjuvant in there ahead of him and Benoit de la Salle claiming 3. I just thought Inverness has got more to go with. Look, he's £1 higher than the Ebor meeting race. And it's a tentative selection around the 8-1 mark, but I just thought he was interested in Inverness in this. And I'm happy to give him another chance at the 1 mile 6 to see if he can prove he does stay that trip. But yeah, Inverness and Post Impressionist to me both each way in that one. So Kempton's next event on ITV is the 240 Class 2 handicap over a mile. Frankie, I quite like one in this actually. Who do you like?
See if we're on the same page. Morgan Ferry.
Yes, we are.
Brilliant. It's quite fun. I might not look at your selections from now on. It makes it a bit more interesting. I don't know what you're going to say. You'll probably be in the same boat. Beaten odds on, favourite twice. Before that, winning at Newbury. And I just think one of those when it was beat was in a 3-runner race. I never take too much from a 3-runner race. They're tactical affairs. And Haydock Turner gave the favourite a great ride that probably got our selection beat that day. And then once at, where are we looking next? Lingfield on the all-weather, up only £1. Down £1, sorry, for that run. And I think on this all-weather surface over this trip, off a mark of 86, just seems a bit of a steal for Morgan Ferry. So fingers crossed we're right, mate.
Yeah, honestly, I think what 13-2, 7-1. I think that's ridiculous. I can't believe it's that
Yeah,
price. I can see why he's that price for the bookmakers of what he's done over his last 2 runs. But I think if you're being a bit shrewd, I think the 7-1, you've got to take that. Going back
yeah,
to a course and distance he's won at. If you go back 3 starts ago when he won that race against State Occasion's come out to win at the E-Ball meeting, win at Glorious Goodwood in very valuable handicaps. Getting back to anywhere near that form, surely off a mark of 86, he's an absolute steal of a price of 7-1. I just
yeah.
thought he was really, really interesting. And obviously, again, as I've said many times, I'm a massive fan of William Agus, and he knows how to get these handicaps right, doesn't he? With horses that are off lowly marks, because this horse is definitely going to be off higher in the future. He does need to be better than his 2 seconds recently. He does need to improve off them, but sorry, her, and I just think she can. I think Morgan Ferry has got an absolutely huge chance in this one. So yeah, Morgan Ferry for the pair of us. So one of the toughest events at Haydock from a punting perspective every year is the Old Borough Cup. Over 1 mile 6 again. Like I mentioned, my old friend in this, Salcombe, is now in 2-1. But I'm gonna have to start this one off because
Thought you might.
you know what? This was the one race that I studied the most this week. And even though the Sprint Cup's got 17 runners, this is the one race I thought I really want to win this one. I love having a go at handicap. I really want to win it. And I've got 2 plays, but Salcombe, when you get on the good side of a horse and you want to keep, and I am disappointed it's gone into 2-1 because the price has gone a bit. If the 4-1 at the anti-post stage, and I think it was just slightly higher, that was a great bet. But I've looked at this race, and I can't get away from this horse. And it's William Agus again. I'm a bit of a fanboy of William Agus, so I stick with him. But even though this horse is £14 higher for its win at the E-Ball meeting in the Melrose handicap, the way he did it that day was just something a bit extra special, wasn't it? He's off 97 now. I still think he's well in. I think this horse is a 100 plus horse. He gets the weight for age allowance that sees him basically off the lowest mark of 8 stone 9. I just think he's got more to come. I think it's a group horse in a handicap situation again. And how ridiculous was last time off a mark of 83 when you see what he did last time? Weave through the field under Holly Doyle. I know Kieran Fallon's on. That's no problem for me. I like Kieran Fallon. He's a good jockey. I tried to get Salcombe beat. I did. I tried to get through the field and tried to get him beat, but I still think this has got more in hand. And I think Salcombe will win this race. One I do want to give a mention to, though, an each-way play. Around 14-1 currently, it is Golden Flame for Charlie and Mark Johnston. The reason why I want to just give a quick mention to this, Golden Flame, around 14-1. If you look at his form figures at Haydock, they read 2-1-2. The win came over course and distance last year on this card in the race we've just previewed, the 1 mile 6 event just before. He runs off only £2 higher than that mark. He's got to be better to go close in this race. Got to be better than what he was in that. But I thought that was really, really interesting. Coming back to Haydock, 14-1. I thought he was an each-way play. But Salcombe would be my main selection with Golden Flame each way. Who are you going in this one?
I could give 3 here. I don't have a strong opinion. I've got to agree in the fact that Salcombe looks so impressive, and if you just take that visual performance at York and put it next to a rating of 97, you would think this horse is still better than 97, regardless of what anything else in the field is rated, or if anything's got something in hand. I just think off of what Salcombe's ability is and a rating of 97, there has to still be improvement left in there against the handicapper, and that's why it's 2-1 favourite. 2-1 is annoyingly short in a massive handicap like this. Uchan Glenn, the old boy, another 9-year-old shout from me. Maybe worth a squeak. This horse has ran in kind of group and listed races for long enough, has potentially been sliding in ability, and then chucked into 3 handicaps where it's just had absolutely no luck. Annoyingly, I'm just going to check. I think it's gone slightly back. Yeah, after being dropped to a rating of 102, has now gone back up to 105. You'd like to see this still hang around 102 for being unlucky in running, and that probably would have been a shout. And then the other might just be Holly Doyle on Amtiaz rather than the ride on Salcombe. A horse you'd have to discount. The last run was disappointing, but before that, has won a nice race at Ascot over 1-6, and then was third at Newmarket when not looking the best before racing, and maybe not settling as well. So at 18s could be worth a squeak, but I don't really have a strong opinion, and that usually means you just settle with the obvious answer of Salcombe hopefully goes and wins.
Yeah, well, I hope Solcombe does go and win. But yeah, some great talking through there, because you do look through Antiaz and people like, if those horses do come back to a bit of form, they can obviously run a big race over this. And this race has obviously been planned by a lot of trainers to go and win, with very valuable big fields. Yeah, I think a lot of horses will be obviously going close in this. So we're going to move on to Ascot's first race on ITV this week. And it is the National Racehorse Week handicap over 7 furlongs. Another tricky one, Frankie?
It is, yes. And you're trying to kind of weigh up a few pieces of intertwining form. One that I like is Aratus, who has a bit of a swing with the Fab. The Fab runs off, carries 9.5, and I think carried 9 stone at Ascot when winning that race. Aratus was 9.2 that day, now it's down a pound, 9.1. This has been a steadily improving horse and kind of a consistent horse. And at those weights, I'd fancy this to potentially reverse the form with the favourite on that day. I'm just checking, yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at. The horse had won its race on its side of the track at Ascot that day. It did what it had to beat what was in front of it, and potentially if it will, because it won't be such a big race here, but if it's close to the pace and gets a squeak at whatever's in front, I think at the weights should go well. So Aratus would be my selection.
Yeah, this is the thing. There's so many familiar faces in this field that you just have to go through and you have to try and weigh it up, don't you, with what horses have got a bit of better weight against ones that have already run. They have run against each other quite a lot of these horses. And I'm going down a form line where I'm going to take a bit of a swing, actually. And like we've already said on this pod, I'm jumping off a horse that will probably come back to bite me in the arse, but I'm jumping off Documenting. And I know we don't discriminate on this pod for being a 9-year-old, being an 8-year-old. We'll tip anything. But I am going with a younger horse in Dance Fever, who has a very similar form line to Documenting. But now Dance Fever is getting an extra £3 from the last run. And I just think that might just make the difference with this horse. Look, 16-1. There will be extra places on offer with some firms, so have a shop around. I'll be disappointed if this horse isn't hit the frame. Like I said, it's just that last one. If you look, 2 finished second, finished third, finished second. The third came at Glorious Goodwood in an 18 runner, so he's got no problem with big fields. I like that a lot. If you look at the run at Newbury last time, and I tipped up Documenting, and I was quite big on Documenting. I really fancied it, and obviously Documenting when I did the business. Dance Fever was getting £6 that day, now getting £9. They only finished 3/4 of a length off each other. When you haven't got much to go off, and pretty much that Dance Fever's double the price of Documenting, you've got to have a look, really, haven't you? I think Documenting slightly drifted out now, and I think it's about 12-1. But yeah, Dance Fever around 16-1. I was happy to play each way. Just consistent nature and getting an extra £3 off Documenting. I was happy to go down that form line. There's loads of different angles into this. You can look at Accidental Agent. He's still probably a listed group horse dropping into a handicap. Absolutely loves it at Ascot. It's down to what now? 109 from its 112. So you can say that's going to have a big run. You can make a case for loads in here, but Dance Fever is the one that I'm going to stick with around the 16-1 mark. So the penultimate event of the afternoon on terrestrial TV is the big one. It's the Group 1 Sprint Cup Stakes. Always a great race every year. I'll read you through the odds. So we've got Minzal, top of the market, 4-1 for Owen Burrows. Naval Crown, Royal Ascot winner, 9-2. Emiratiana, last year's winner, 7-1. Art Power, 15-2. Kim Ross, winner at the Ebor meeting, 8-1. Rohan, 17-2. And then the rest are 12-1 bar. Frankie, 17 runners, Group 1, massive field. Go and find the winner.
Brilliant race, isn't it? All of the
race.
horses you'd like to see in here, or lots of them at least, running, the top sprinters we've seen throughout the season. Is cracker. I'm going to go with Kinross. Dettori again, a Dettori double on the day. Just looks in brilliant form. Second to Sandrine at Goodwood, one at the Ebor meeting. 8th at Ascot. Obviously, you've got Naval Crown in here, but then you've got a fair few that were in behind. Minzal, who's 4s. Emiratiana, who's ahead in the market. A couple others, I think, from that race. And Kinross ran a good race at Ascot that day, and then has just gone on to look really, really good. Since then, shown best bit of form at York. And if you look back through Kinross's form, a third at Haydock, a first at Haydock, a fourth at Haydock. Not exactly bad round here. So at the prices, based off 3 kind of consistent performances and a very impressive performance at York at the latest, I think an each way bet at around 8 I'm looking at is well worth a shot for Kinross.
Yeah, Kinross definitely got a shot. It's just a drop to 6 furlongs, whether he can handle that. But he's a long straight, isn't it, Haydock? So that will probably suit. Look, I'm quite keen here. I'm quite keen on one. I know it's tough to be keen on a 17 runner one in a Group 1, and I haven't really been behind this horse throughout the last few years, but I am for this race, and Rohan is my selection. I think he's got everything going for him. I think this is his massive cup final. I think it's just been he's got everything he wants going for this race, honestly. And I really fancy Rohan around the 8-1 mark. I still play him each way, so I reckon you'll be able to get 4 or 5 places. But yeah, Rohan, a winner of the Wokingham at Royal Ascot for the 2nd year, running off top weight to 109. Then went to Newbury, finished a good 4th in the Group 3 Hackwood Stakes. You look at him that day, came out the pack, looked like he was going to win, and was just swallowed up late by a few horses. He also did the same in the Group 1 Prix, Maurice de Geese. He rattled home flying late and grabbed 4th. That was over 6.5. Disregard his last run. Absolutely get rid of his last run at York. He doesn't want 7 furlongs. He wants 6 furlongs. He's back to his strip. He's drawn in stall 11, which is absolutely brilliant for this horse. He's full of pace around him. They'll shoot off. He'll track it and he'll fly late. I just think he's got such a big chance. What a horse this has been for David Evans, by the way. Winning a nursery handicap of 55 in December 2020. And now he's a Group 2 winner who's ran crackers in big Group 1 sprint races. I just think what a super horse to own. 8-1. Well, you probably might be able to get 17-2. Go and play him each way, but I like this one. I really like Rohan, and he's a big selection for me in the Sprint Cup. So finally, the last event we're going to cover comes from Ascot in their feature race, which is the Lavazza Stakes Heritage Handicap over 1 mile 4. And Frankie, I spent some time on this race. I really did spend some time on the race. He looks tough to me. I was to and fro between the Godolphin horses, the Gosden horses. Who did you go for in the end?
A Haggis horse, surely. Surely. Gotta be. No, stick to your guns. Stick to Team Haggis.
I know.
La Yakel. We don't know a whole lot about a lot of these, and these are really tricky, aren't they? When you've got a handicap and they've only had a couple of runs, and for some of them it's their first handicap. I like a horse that's come off the all-weather when they've had a couple of runs on turf, and then they come off a run on the all-weather, gets in off 87 with a £5 claimer on. I don't know much about that jockey, I must say, Adam Farragher. I don't know a whole lot about him, but obviously Haggis has put his trust in him, which is more than good enough. And that just is an incredible kind of low weight here. It's effectively carrying 8 stone 5 after going off favourite at Windsor and then winning on the all-weather. Suggests there's a little bit of talent there, and you know, it does have a tough field to beat. Like you said, a strong Godolphin favourite, a Gosden horse in here, Mandobi, Blue Trial. There's loads in here with chances, but I'm going to have a spin on the claimer and La Yakel.
Yeah, you know, another thing, because I've had so many Haggis horses this weekend, I looked at this and thought, surely he can't go and win this as well. Right? So that was one of the reasons why it put me off this horse. Obviously, you've got to take a horse on its merit. It's got a very low mark, and we don't know much about it. It could turn out to be a really, really nice horse. I think Aaron Farragher is worth his weight in gold for his £5 claim. He was injured at the start of the season. He's came back. He started riding for Haggis last season. He's a good jockey, I think, and I think he'll have a big future. So I think that's absolutely brilliant, that £5 claim. So I'll talk you through my thinking with the other ones. I started obviously at the top of the market at First Ruler, and I like this horse, and I think he's the best of the bunch. And it's interesting to see him riding for Charlie Appleby. You don't see that a lot in the Godolphin colours. I thought that was interesting. But then at the declaration stage, 5 Godolphin horses have been left in. And you've known in the past when you're over in Maidan or in other big handicaps, when they leave 5 in, the favourite very rarely wins. Mm-hmm. It's always something that comes out the pack that might be weighted a bit lower and maybe not the top jockeys on. So I found it really tough to pick this race. But when I was looking again, the one I nailed down my crosses to, and it took me a long, long time to do this, is Fantastic for John and Thady Gosden. I took the Godolphin equation completely out the window, and I just thought, let's go with this one. Around the 6-7 to 1 mark as we recording Friday morning. I just think this horse is so well bred. I just think he's going to be better than his marker 92. Yeah, and I just like his chances. Look, it's very tough in there. I would still play this horse each way in this. But like I said, I went back and forth and I came down. He's a full brother to Cracksman, really nice son of Frankel. He's only 3 years old, hasn't raced too many times, and I just think he's got a lot more to offer. He went on his second start as a juvenile last term at Newcastle. We know John and Thady Gosden like to send some good ones to Newcastle. I remember Enable, Stradivarius, they all started there. I'm not saying the same calibre of horse, but they do like to start the horse off at Newcastle. He then this season came back and he needed his first run back. He was last in bit of horse home at Sandown, the Group 3 Classic Trials won by Irish Derby winner Westover. Third over the same course and distance. Next time out on handicap debut. The only thing that worries me with this horse, he does need a bit of juice in the ground, and I would like a bit of rain to fall at Ascot for his chances to be. I think if rain falls, he'll go into favourite personally. I really do, but the weather forecast so up and down back home, and we just don't know. But I just think if he gets a bit of juice, he's got an even better chance. Last time out, he got off the mark for the season at Newbury. He only won by a head, but I thought that was quite comfortable that day. That was off a marker 87. He's up to 92. I just think he's a massive player. He's better than a marker 92. I think he just need to keep improving. I hope he is. But fantastic was my play in this, in those famous colours, obviously the Cracksman colours. I hope he can go and do his brother proud. So that's all the races covered, Frankie, for this week's pod. Some big selections for both of us in there. So who are you going to go for your nap, please, this week?
Oh, I think it's going to be Irish Lullaby. Frankie Dettori to get the job done in that big handicap. What time is it? The 220 at Haydock. Yeah, I just think, as I said, a horse on the up and seems to be improving with each step up in trip. Frankie's a strong booking, and 90 doesn't look this horse's ceiling, I don't think. So yeah, an Irish Lullaby.
Yeah. Around 10 to 1 mark. Yeah, it's a nice price. Look, I'm torn here because I like Salcombe. I love Salcombe. The 2 to 1's quite short now. That's my only worry.
Yeah.
So the one I'm going to play each way around 7 to 1 is Morgan Fairy. In the 240 at Kempton. I just like his form from 3 races ago. And obviously, for the reasons mentioned earlier, I think Morgan Fairy at 7 to 1 is a bit of a steal if running how we think it will. So yeah, Morgan Fairy for me as my nap. Frankie, that's it. This us done this week for the pod. Thanks so much for your selections as always. Hopefully we found some winners. We haven't been doing too bad, have we, the last few weeks? I think.
Yeah, no, we're going all right.
Some winners as well. And hopefully we'll be back next week. Please remember to like this video, comment your selections for the 9 races on ITV. And please subscribe because there is a new TD Meets lot that's just gone live with Charlie McCann. And there'll be more content over the next few weeks. So when you subscribe, obviously you get the notification when that pops up. Frankie, all the best for this weekend, mate. And hopefully we found some winners.